Hello, everybody. Welcome to Storytime. I'm Miss Lisa. I'm the children's librarian at the Canton branch, and I'm so excited that you're joining me today because we have some very special guests from the National Aquarium who are going to be joining us after our story. So before we get started, I just want to remind you of a couple of quick things. April is Imagination Celebration Month, so make sure you stop by your local branch to pick up your Imagination Celebration kit and join us tonight at 6 on Zoom when Shamila Mendez, the author of our Imagination Celebration book, What Will You Be?, will be joining us to answer questions. So that'll be 6 p.m. tonight. Make sure you go on to prattlibrary.org and click on events to sign up, or you can also click on, there should be a registration link in your comments. So I also want to let you know about some really fun things coming up at the aquarium. They are going to be having wonderful programs for Earth Day on April 22nd. And at the end of April, they're going to be having a city nature challenge where you can go out and take pictures to share of nature in Baltimore. And that's for all ages starting Saturday, April 29th. So make sure that you go to the aquarium's website at aqua.org, and that'll also be in your comments, to check out all the great events that are going on at the aquarium this month. So again, thank you for joining me, and let's all say hello. Hello, everybody. Can you touch your nose? Touch your nose. Touch your nose. Hello, everybody. Can you touch your nose? Touch your nose. Hello, everybody. Can you touch your toes? Touch your toes. Touch your toes. Hello, everybody. Can you touch your toes? Touch your toes. Hello, everybody. Can you wave hello? Wave hello. Wave hello. Hello, everybody. Can you wave hello? Wave hello. And we wave with one hand. We wave with our other hand. We wave with both our hands. And we say, hello, everybody. And again, welcome to Story Time, and a very special story time with some guests from the National Aquarium. First, we're going to share a story, The Tale of the Whale by Karen Swann, illustrated by Padma Kandra, and read with kind permission by Simon Schuster. The Tale of the Whale. Let's see, have you ever seen a whale? They're huge. Let's see what happens to this whale. Where the land becomes sky and sky becomes sea, I first saw the whale, and the whale first saw me. Do you see where the whale is? Yep, way out there on the horizon, out where the sea and the sky meet. And high on the breeze came his sweet sounding song. Do you know what a whale sounds like? What might a whale song sound like? Maybe like, woo, woo. Yep, they like to sing in the water to let each other know where they are. I've so much to show you if you'll come along. I scrambled aboard in the silvery light and watched tiny houses drift far out of sight. We floated away on the rocking horse sea. I smiled at the whale, and the whale smiled at me. Can you all give the whale a nice big smile and a wave? Say, hi, whale. Hello. We sailed the ocean blue with turtles and rays, and tail splashed the seagulls in deep water bays. We danced with the dolphins that waltzed through the sea. I laughed with the whale, and the whale laughed with me. I took a deep breath. Let's all take our very deepest breath. And we dived through the blue. Let that breath out. And there on the bottom, a ship with no crew. But where was the treasure? Deep under the sea? I shrugged at the whale, and the whale shrugged at me. We swam over mountains. Did you know there are mountains under the ocean? Through valleys of sand, an ocean in motion, a bright, busy land with carpets of colors that breathed with the sea. Look at all those beautiful colors. What colors do you see under the sea? Yeah, I see some red and some yellow and blue and pink and green. So many different colors. I watched with the whale, and the whale watched with me. We crashed through the surface. We splashed oh so high. A splutter, a rumble, then a whoosh to the sky. I'm flying, I cried, to the cold ice-capped sea. I waved to the whale. Let's wave to the whale. And the whale waved to me. The whale's tummy rumbled, his mouth open wide. Open your mouth nice and wide. And half of the ocean was swallowed inside. Do you see all the different things that were inside the whale? I stared at the whale as he stared back at me. I understood now what he'd brought me to see. How do you think the whale feels here? Does the whale look happy, or does the whale look sad? Yeah, I think the whale looks sad. Let's see why the whale is so sad. A watery trash of bottles and caps, some straws, an old toothbrush, and torn plastic wraps. A net lost while fishing, a large coffee cup, the soup of the ocean. He'd swallowed it up. All that trash was in his belly. I'd be pretty sad too if that was in my belly. A turtle in trouble. Oh, looks like the turtle's caught in the net. A gull in distress. What's happened to the gull? Yeah, he's got a plastic ring stuck around his neck. A tightening collar. Uh-oh. A plastic bag mess. Look at all those bags. We traveled home saddened by all we could see. I cried with the whale, and the whale cried with me. I gazed in his eyes as I stood on the sand and made him a promise to tell the whole land the tale of the whale and the plastic soup sea. You've heard the whale's story. Please change it with me. So this month is Imagination Celebration, and we're imagining all the things that we could be in the future. So what are some of the ways that you could help the future be better for the whale? Maybe you can put some ideas in the comments. In the meantime, even though this story is a little bit sad because we learn about all the things that are in the ocean that are hurting the animals, We can also be happy because there are people who are working to help the animals. And now we're going to meet one of those people. And this is my friend Allie. Hi, Allie.
Hello, everyone.
Allie works at the National Aquarium here in Baltimore. And Allie, can you tell us a little bit about what you do at the aquarium?
Absolutely. I am basically an educator or a teacher here at the aquarium. So, anyone who walks into the building, I get to tell them all about the wonderful animals that are all around our planet and the many ways in which we can help support and protect them and learn more about them. So, I get to do everything from microphone talks with our dolphins to doing animal encounters. And a lot of times, I spend my days at our touch pools where you get to touch some of the animals.
Great, thanks. I'm going to ask Allie a few more questions, but if you have any questions for Allie, make sure to put them in the comments so that we can ask your questions. So while you're coming up with your questions, I'm going to ask Allie, why did you decide to work with animals?
That is an excellent question. I grew up and spent a lot of time outside. I really like to hike around. My family and I would always go camping in various areas. So I really loved the outdoors and all the things I saw. But I never in a million years would have thought that I would work at an aquarium or that I would be an educator and do public speaking. Because I grew up in Kansas, and there is no ocean in Kansas. There is no aquarium in Kansas. So I never got to have the aquarium experience and see a lot of these animals. And I went to college to get a degree in biology so that I could do research on animals and care for them. But somewhere along the way, I was pushed into education and I have loved it ever since, and I'll never go back. And that was astonishing to both me and my parents because growing up, I was the kid that when a teacher announced we'd have to do a presentation in front of the class, I would throw up. I'd be so nervous. The idea of talking in front of other people. And now I do it every day in front of thousands of people.
Thank you. That is great. Now we've got a question from one of our Storytime friends asking, what is the best things can do to help the ocean?
There are a lot of really cool ways in which we can help protect the ocean. Like the story said, a great thing we can do is to stop using a lot of the trash we don't need. So instead of using a plastic water bottle, we can use a reusable water bottle that we fill up over and over and over again. And that will get rid of a lot of the trash that might wind up with those whales. But one of my favorite things to do, and something we're going to be celebrating at the National Aquarium with the City Nature Challenge, is go around outside to just find all the animals and plants you can. When you download free apps like iNaturalist or Seek, you can use those to take pictures of everything around you. And in that way, you'll get to learn about all the amazing animals and plants around you, but your pictures can also be used by scientists to learn more information about them too. So just going around in your backyard and taking pictures goes a long way in protecting.
Wow, so it sounds like even kids can be scientists and can help scientists by taking pictures.
Absolutely. Scientists can't be everywhere. They can't see all these animals every day, but we can because we're everywhere. Anyone with a camera can take those pictures. And I gotta say, I especially like the Seek app, especially for kids. It's called SEEK, Seek. And when you open up that camera function, you hover it over the plant, the bug, the bird, or the animal you're seeing, and it'll tell you in real time what animal you're looking at. So you get to learn more about what's right in front of you, too.
Oh, that sounds fun. I think I need to use that app because I've got a lot of birds that come to my balcony to eat at my bird feeder. I'd like to know what my birds are. So, Allie, you work with all kinds of different animals there at the aquarium. Do you have a favorite animal?
That is a hard question. We have about 10,000 animals here at the aquarium. I certainly don't know them all. I'm still learning a lot myself. Because when I grew up in Kansas, I didn't grow up near the ocean. I didn't really know anything about the ocean. So everything I've learned about the ocean, I have learned right here at the National Aquarium, and I'm still learning every day. But I would have to say One animal that really surprised me were the horseshoe crabs. Everyone here on the East Coast seems to be familiar with them, but I had never heard of such a creature until I came to the National Aquarium. And they are so cool, so unique, unlike anything else on this planet, that I really appreciate them and how they help us every day.
Okay. Now, what advice would you give to kids if someday they wanted to work at the aquarium or work with animals?
I would say be open-minded to every opportunity, because there are so many different people here at the aquarium with so many different degrees, different backgrounds, different experiences, that you never know what you're going to wander into and enjoy. I never thought that I would be an educator talking on microphone in front of a bunch of people, but I did an internship that I was hoping was going to be more animal care, like taking care of the animals, but it was a lot of education, and it really pushed me into the deep end of education and public speaking, and I fell in love with it. So just be open to everything out there, no matter if something sounds hard, if something sounds dirty, or if something sounds scary. Open it up and push yourself to be a little uncomfortable and out of your comfort zone.
That sounds like great advice. Well, thank you so much, Allie. Now, I think you have a friend there at the aquarium who would like to meet our Storytime friends.
We do have a very special animal with us here today. And something that surprised me here as I worked at the National Aquarium was not only how much I was learning, but how much our animals can learn as well. So I did bring along one of, not that we pick favorites, but one of our favorites who has really demonstrated the amazing ways in which animals can learn too. So before I show who it is, try to think about what animals you think can learn to do new things. And I'll tell you, this animal has learned to touch his nose to this red target. And when he touches his nose to this target, he's going to hear this sound. That clicking sound tells him that he did a good job so that he can stand by for a nice food reward. So I'm going to introduce you to Joey here. I'm going to turn the camera, tilt it down a little bit. He's not that tall. There he is. There's Joey. Now, Joey here is what we call a yellow-footed tortoise. So he's an animal you would normally find stomping around the Amazon rainforest in South America. And he is a tortoise, which means he does not swim. Joey is not good at swimming. So if you see him walking around, he kind of has elephant-like feet that he's going to use to stomp around on the land. And he's got a nice dome shape to that big shell of his so that he can roll himself over if he gets upside down. But you can see Joey here is target training. He's walking to wherever we put that nice red target. And that way, Joey here can do a lot of things himself. For example, Joey here does not like to be carried around, nor do we like carrying around a giant squirming tortoise. So instead, we can just use this red target and ask him to go places. Now, of course, if Joey decides he doesn't want to go there, that's okay. We all have our good and bad days, and we'll simply move on. But in asking him to go to this target, Joey can actively participate in his own veterinary care when he has to go see a doctor. So if you think about your pets at home, if you have any dogs or cats, if you've ever had to take them to the vet, they probably get a little nervous and a little scared. But when we take Joey to the vet, he can simply practice target training, something he does every single day. And that makes it a lot less scary for Joey. And it also means that our vets have an easier time examining him and looking him over because they can see him moving. They can see him open his mouth when he touches that target. And we can ask Joey to stand on top of a scale to see how much he weighs instead of having to pick him up and put him on that scale. So it really allows Joey to take control of his own destiny and have a lot of control in his life. So Joey here is a very smart tortoise, as you can see. But this training process takes a while to learn because obviously I don't speak tortoise and Joey here doesn't speak English. So we have to find other ways to communicate in order for Joey to figure out what we're asking of him. And it all started off by getting Joey to realize that this little red target is okay. And after he understood that red target wasn't anything scary, wasn't anything big, we would then start to give him food every time he got a little closer to that red target. And eventually, we were able to introduce our clicker, which is this sound, so that when Joey hears it, he knows he's doing a good job and can wait for that reward. It helps to kind of bridge the time from when he touches that target to when he gets that food to let him know he is doing the right task. So Joey here, as you can see, he's a pro at it. Absolutely wonderful. But through this training process, Joey allowed us to learn a lot more about yellow-footed tortoises. Because one of the big questions we had to ask, what sort of colors can a yellow-footed tortoise even see? Because if he can't see green, then we don't want to use a green target. So we had to do a lot of research and a lot of studies with Joey to figure out what colors he can distinguish from. And believe it or not, Joey can see pretty much every color we can, but he does struggle to really tell the difference between red and pink. So his target here today is red, but anything else that might be red around him, he can sometimes confuse for a target. So he can sometimes occasionally get distracted. But we all do at some point. It's okay for Joey too as well. Now, another thing we have to do when we are doing training like this with animals like Joey is we have to figure out what they're motivated by. So, I'm getting right to that. In order to figure out what sort of things motivate an animal, it could be something like their favorite toy, it could be lots of attention, or it could be a food. And so for Joey here and most of our reptiles, we'll do something called a food preference trial. And in that food preference trial, we surround them with all sorts of different foods that they could eat, like broccoli, crickets, lettuce, zucchini, squash, blueberries, raspberries, all sorts of things that they can do. And so when we did this with Joey, or I should say, when we normally do it with animals or reptiles in particular, a lot of times they're going to choose to go towards the things they can't have very often, the things that are kind of like cake to the yellow-footed tortoises. And that's going to be things like blueberries, crickets, some of the stuff they can't have as often because, just like it's not healthy for us to eat cake every day, it's not healthy for Joey to eat cake every day either. But Joey here really confused us. The first time we did the food preference trial, he went to the broccoli. The second time we did it, he went to the crickets. The next time he did it, he went to the zucchini. And the next time it was the blueberries. And so we really couldn't figure out what Joey's favorite food was because he never walked to the same food twice. And then one day it finally clicked for us. Joey's favorite food, is whatever is closest. Now that really helps us out because it means Joey's motivated by all sorts of foods, which means we can do training with him all the time because he is motivated by everything and not limited by the blueberries or the crickets. So Joey here is a very smart tortoise because we are able to do so much training with him. But he's also a wonderful animal ambassador here at the National Aquarium because he's been doing this his entire life. Joey was born and raised right here at the National Aquarium 12 years ago. So believe it or not, Joey is still considered a young tortoise. He's still growing a little bit. He can get just a little bit bigger than he is now. And he was, to be quite honest, a little happy accident. We weren't expecting Joey when he arrived here at the National Aquarium. But because he was born and raised here, we've been able to do so much work with him. And he is a very outgoing tortoise. He's not really scared by seeing new people in new places like a lot of the animals that you might find in your backyards or at the park. So Joey here really has a chance to show off the amazing things that reptiles and yellow-footed tortoises can do. And a lot of those things, one of my favorite things to do is just watch Joey eat like you're seeing now. His mouth is kind of like a bird beak. There's no teeth inside there. And he's really kind of using that tongue like a fork to help pick it up. And then he'll swallow it down in one giant bite. But a lot of the food that Joey eats are going to be the same foods that we eat. The rainforest provides us with a lot of the stuff you might find in your kitchen. So if you're ever a big fan of chocolate or vanilla or cinnamon, ice cream, all sorts of stuff that we use actually grows in the Amazon rainforest. So we were talking earlier about great ways in which we can help protect animals. Another fantastic thing you can do is go to the grocery store and go on a little scavenger hunt. And when you go on that scavenger hunt, you want to look for a little green tree frog with a stamp that says Rainforest Alliance Certified. That means that the ingredients in what you're buying was grown in a healthy, sustainable way that doesn't hurt the rainforest where these yellow-footed tortoises live. And believe it or not, you will find those little green tree frogs on a lot of things. I have found it on Lipton teas, Dunkin' Donuts coffee, tissue Kleenex boxes, all sorts of stuff. So go on a scavenger hunt the next time you go to the grocery store with your family.
Well, thank you so much, Allie, and thank you to Joey for his special appearance. We're so happy to see both of you. So make sure you go by the National Aquarium and say hi to Allie and say hi to Joey. And don't forget that tonight at 6 o'clock on Zoom, we're going to be talking with Shamila Mendez, who's the author of What Will You Be? And she'll talk to you about even more fun things that you can be when you get big and that you can even do now when you're still a kid. So for now, it's time for us to say goodbye. And so we're going to remember our 3 signs, or 3 things we need to learn for our goodbye song. Time, goodbye, and friends. So can you sing our goodbye song with me? It's time to say goodbye to all our friends. It's time to say goodbye to all our friends. It's time to say goodbye. Give a wink and smile. And wink and eye. Oops, I messed up the lyrics. It's time to say goodbye to all our friends. All right, it's time for us to say goodbye. Make sure you come by the branches to get your imagination celebration kit and to say hi to all of us. See you soon.